Stop what you're doing right now, because what I'm about to tell you may quietly be one of the most important things you hear about your health this year. And I am not saying that to sound dramatic. I am saying it because most people over the age of 50 are unknowingly missing a simple daily habit that could help their body defend itself better at the cellular level, not in a hospital, not through expensive treatment, but in the way they live every single day. Here is the truth most people never hear. Cancer does not suddenly appear one day. It develops over time, slowly, silently, at the level of your cells. And long before anything shows up on a scan or causes symptoms, your body is already trying to deal with it every single day. Your immune system is identifying abnormal cells. Your body is repairing damage. Your system is cleaning waste. And the question is not whether this process exists. The question is whether your daily habits are helping it or silently working against it. I am Dr. Adrian Keller, and for over 2 decades, I have studied how lifestyle influences cellular health, aging, and disease risk. And what I am about to share with you is based on patterns seen across thousands of individuals and supported by long-term research. There is not one magic solution. There is not one miracle food. But there is a combination of daily habits that, when done consistently, can create a biological environment where your body functions stronger, cleaner, and more resilient. Today, I am going to walk you through 5 of those habits, ranked from simple to absolutely critical. And by the end of this video, you will know exactly what to start doing tomorrow morning. But I want to tell you something important before we begin. The number 1 habit on this list is something most people over 60 are doing wrong. Completely wrong. And fixing just that one habit alone could dramatically change how your body repairs itself. So do not skip ahead, because each step builds on the next. And before we start, I want to ask you something personal. How old are you right now? And has any doctor ever sat down with you and explained how to prevent disease before it happens? Not detect it, not treat it, prevent it. Take a moment and write your age in the comments, because your answer matters more than you think. Now, let us begin. Number 5. This is the one almost everyone ignores, because it feels too simple to matter. But after the age of 50, this becomes one of the most overlooked stressors on the body. I am talking about morning hydration. Not just drinking water randomly throughout the day, but intentionally starting your morning with water before anything else. Before coffee, before food, before your phone, before your day begins. Here is why this matters more than you think. As you age, your body becomes less sensitive to thirst signals. That means you can be mildly dehydrated without even realizing it. You wake up, you feel normal, but your cells are already operating below optimal hydration levels. And that affects everything. Your blood becomes thicker, your circulation slows, your lymphatic system becomes less efficient, your digestion becomes sluggish, and your body becomes less effective at removing waste. Think of your lymphatic system like a cleanup network. It collects cellular waste, damaged particles, and inflammatory byproducts. But unlike your heart, it does not have a strong pump. It depends on fluid and movement. If you are dehydrated, that system slows down, and when waste is not cleared efficiently, inflammation can begin to rise. Now, why does that matter? Because chronic inflammation creates an environment where damaged cells can survive longer than they should. Your body is constantly dealing with abnormal cells. That is normal. But those cells are supposed to be identified and removed. When your internal environment becomes more inflamed and less efficient, that process becomes weaker. So something as simple as starting your day with water is not just about hydration. It is about giving your body the conditions it needs to function properly. Here is what I want you to do. Place a glass of water next to your bed or in your kitchen before you sleep. When you wake up, drink it before anything else. Do not overthink it. Do not complicate it. Just drink it. If you want, you can add a slice of lemon, not because it is magic, but because it can make it easier to stay consistent. Then, after drinking water, move your body, even for just 10 minutes. Walk around your home, stretch, open a window. Because hydration combined with movement helps stimulate circulation and supports your body's natural cleanup processes. I had a patient once, a man in his early 70s. He told me he felt tired every morning, no matter how much he slept. We looked at his routine. He woke up, drank coffee immediately, and sat down. No water, no movement. We changed one thing. Water first, then light movement. Within a few weeks, he told me something simple but powerful. He said, "I feel like my body actually wakes up now." That is the point. You are not forcing your body, you are supporting it. That is number 5. Simple, but essential. Now let us move to number 4. Because once your body is hydrated, the next question becomes this: what are you feeding your internal system? Number 4 is fermented foods, and this is where most people underestimate the power of the gut. Your gut is not just about digestion, it is deeply connected to your immune system. In fact, a large portion of your immune activity is influenced by what happens in your gut. After the age of 50, your gut environment can begin to change. Beneficial bacteria may decrease, inflammation can increase, and your gut lining can become more sensitive. When this happens, your body can become more reactive, more inflamed, and less balanced. Fermented foods help support a healthier gut environment. They introduce beneficial bacteria, but more importantly, they help your gut produce compounds that regulate inflammation and support cellular health. One of these compounds is something called butyrate. Think of it as a calming signal. It helps support the gut lining. It helps regulate inflammation, and it helps create an environment where your body can function more efficiently. Now, here is the mistake most people make. They either do not eat fermented foods at all, or they choose versions that are loaded with sugar and additives. You want simple options. Plain yogurt, kefir, fermented vegetables. Nothing complicated. Start small. One serving a day is enough to begin. And here is something important. Fermented foods work best when combined with fiber, because fiber feeds the beneficial bacteria. So think of it as a partnership. Fermented foods bring the bacteria. Fiber helps them survive and thrive. Together, they create a healthier internal environment. That is number 4. Now, number 3 is where things begin to change more dramatically, because this is where you actively influence your metabolism, your circulation, and your energy systems. And most people are doing it wrong, or not doing it at all. Number 3 is daily walking, but not just casual walking, intentional walking. The kind that slightly raises your heart rate, the kind that makes your breathing a little deeper, because your body runs on energy systems, and movement directly influences those systems. When you walk at a steady pace, your body uses glucose, your circulation improves, your tissues receive more oxygen, and your cells function more efficiently. After the age of 60, your cellular energy systems become less efficient. That is normal, but movement helps maintain them. Walking is one of the simplest and most effective ways to do that. You do not need intense workouts. You do not need complicated routines. You need consistency. 30 minutes, most days of the week, at a pace that feels purposeful. That is enough to create change. And when you combine walking with morning light exposure, something even more powerful happens. Your internal clock begins to regulate, which directly affects your sleep. And sleep is something we will talk about later. But for now, understand this. Movement is not optional. It is essential. That is number 3. Now we move into something deeper. Because what we are about to discuss is not just a habit, it is a biological switch. And most people are completely unaware that they are either activating it or shutting it down every single day. Number 2 is cruciferous vegetables. But more importantly, it is how you prepare them. I am talking about foods like broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale, and especially broccoli sprouts. These are not just vegetables. They contain compounds that can influence how your cells protect themselves. One of the most important of these compounds is called sulforaphane. Now, you do not need to remember that name. What you need to understand is what it does. Inside your body, there are protective systems that help manage oxidative stress, support detoxification, and repair damage at the cellular level. But as you age, these systems naturally become less active. After 50, this decline becomes more noticeable. Your body is still capable, but it is not as responsive as it once was. Sulforaphane helps reactivate those protective pathways. Think of it like turning the lights back on in a room that has slowly been getting darker over the years. It does not create something new. It helps restore what is already there. But here is the problem. Most people destroy this benefit without realizing it. They cook these vegetables too aggressively. They boil them until they lose structure. They microwave them until they become soft and lifeless. And in doing so, they reduce the very compounds they are trying to get. The key is in the preparation. When you chop or crush these vegetables, a natural reaction begins. This reaction helps create the active compounds your body can use. But if you apply too much heat too quickly, that process is reduced. So here is what you should do. Chop your vegetables first. Let them sit for about 30 minutes before cooking. Then cook them lightly. Steam them just enough to soften but not destroy their structure. You want them to still have color, still have texture, still feel alive. If you are eating broccoli sprouts, you can eat them raw. They are one of the most concentrated sources of these protective compounds. Even a small amount can be powerful. And here is something most people never hear. If your vegetables are already cooked, you can still improve their effect. By adding small amounts of raw foods like mustard seeds, radish, or arugula, you can help restore part of the natural process that creates these compounds. Small adjustment, big impact. I once worked with a man in his mid-60s who told me he had been eating vegetables his entire life. But when we looked closer, everything he ate was overcooked, soft, lifeless, processed. We changed only one thing, the preparation. Within weeks, he told me his digestion felt lighter, his energy improved, and most importantly, he felt like he was finally getting something real from his food. That is the difference. It is not about eating more, it is about eating smarter. Now, let us connect what we have so far. You wake up and hydrate your body. You support your gut with fermented foods and fiber. You move your body through walking. And now you introduce targeted foods that support your cellular defense systems. Each step builds on the last, but none of this works fully without the final piece. And this is where most people fail. Not because they do not try, but because they underestimate how powerful it is. Number one is sleep, but not just sleep. Deep, consistent, high-quality sleep. This is where everything comes together. During the day, your body is active. It is processing, it is responding, it is adapting. But at night, something different happens. Repair begins. Your brain clears waste. Your cells repair damage. Your immune system becomes more organized. Hormones reset. And your body produces important compounds that support recovery and protection. After 50, sleep often becomes lighter, more fragmented, less consistent. People wake up more often. They struggle to fall asleep. They rely on screens late into the night, and they create an environment that works against their own biology. Here's the truth. Sleep is not passive. Sleep is one of the most active processes in your body, and when it is disrupted, everything else becomes harder. Your immune system becomes less efficient. Your inflammation increases. Your hormones become less stable. Your appetite changes. Your energy drops. And your ability to repair cellular damage becomes weaker. This is why sleep is number one, because it supports everything else. You can eat perfectly, you can exercise daily, you can follow every habit. But if your sleep is broken, your body cannot fully recover. So here is what you need to do. First, create consistency. Go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time. Your body thrives on rhythm. Second, control your environment. Make your room dark. Truly dark. Even small amounts of light can interfere with your internal signals. Keep your room cool, comfortable, calm. Third, reduce stimulation before bed. Turn off screens, lower the lights. Give your mind time to slow down. If you go from intense stimulation directly into bed, your body will struggle to transition. Fourth, avoid heavy meals close to bedtime. Your body cannot fully focus on repair if it is busy digesting. Give it space. I remember a woman in her early 70s who told me she felt exhausted every morning. She thought it was just age, but when we looked at her routine, her sleep was completely irregular. Different times every night, television in bed, lights on, late snacks. We changed her routine slowly. Consistent bedtime, reduced light, no screens before sleep, cooler room. Within weeks, she told me something powerful. She said, "I feel like my body finally rests." That is the difference. Not more sleep, better sleep. Now, let us step back and look at the full picture. These 5 habits are not separate. They are connected. Hydration supports circulation and cleanup. Gut health supports immune balance. Movement supports metabolism and energy. Targeted foods support cellular defense. Sleep supports repair. Together, they create an environment where your body can function the way it was designed to. This is not about perfection. This is about direction. Every day, your habits are either moving you toward better function or away from it. You do not need to change everything at once. Start with one habit, then add another. Build slowly, build consistently, because the body responds to repetition. And over time, those small daily actions can create meaningful change. In the final part, I will show you how to combine all of this into a simple daily routine that you can actually follow without feeling overwhelmed. Now, let me show you how to turn everything you have just learned into something real. Because information alone does not change your life. Understanding does not change your health. Action does. And the truth is, most people fail not because they do not know what to do. They fail because everything feels too complicated, too overwhelming, too unrealistic to maintain. So let us simplify everything into one clear daily rhythm, something you can actually follow, something your body can recognize, something you can repeat, because repetition is where change happens. Let us start with your morning. The moment you wake up is not just the start of your day, it is the moment your body is waiting for direction. Before stress begins, before decisions pile up, before the world starts pulling your attention away. So the first thing you do is simple. You drink water. Not later, not after coffee, immediately. You are telling your body, we begin clean. Then you move, not intensely, not aggressively, just enough to wake your system. Walk around your house, step outside if you can. Let natural light hit your eyes, because that light tells your brain that a new cycle has begun. And that single signal will influence your energy, your mood, and your sleep later at night. Now your system is awake, hydrated, moving, ready. Then you nourish it. This is where your gut comes in. Add something fermented. It can be simple. Plain yogurt, kefir, a small portion of fermented vegetables. You are not trying to eat perfectly. You are creating consistency. Then add fiber, oats, fruit, seeds, something that feeds the beneficial bacteria. Because your gut is not just processing food, it is communicating with your immune system. You are shaping that communication. Now your morning is complete. Hydration, movement, gut support, light exposure. That is your foundation. Now we move into the middle of your day. This is where most people lose control. They get busy. They forget to move. They sit for hours. They eat without thinking. But this is where you reinforce your system. This is where your walking habit becomes critical. It does not matter when you do it, morning, afternoon, evening. What matters is that you do it. 30 minutes, at a steady pace, not slow, not exhausting, just enough to activate your body. Because movement tells your system to stay alive, to stay responsive, to stay strong. And while you move, your body is doing more than you realize. It is using energy, improving circulation, supporting cellular function, maintaining systems that naturally decline with age. You are not just walking. You are maintaining your internal environment. Then comes your food. This is where you introduce your cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, prepared correctly, not overcooked, not lifeless, alive, structured, intentional. You do not need a perfect diet. You need repeated exposure to foods that support your system. That is what creates change. Now we move into the evening. This is where everything either comes together or falls apart. Because sleep is not something that just happens. It is something you prepare for. And most people prepare for it the wrong way. Bright lights, screens, late meals, mental stimulation, stress. And then they expect their body to suddenly switch into deep recovery mode. It does not work like that. Your body needs signals, so you create them. You lower the lights, you reduce stimulation, you step away from screens, you allow your mind to slow down. You create a pattern that your body begins to recognize. This means rest. This means repair. This means recovery. You go to bed at a consistent time, not when you feel exhausted, but when you choose to protect your health. Because discipline in this area changes everything. Your room is dark, cool, quiet. Your body begins its work, repairing, resetting, restoring. And this is where all your efforts from the day finally come together. Because without this step, everything else becomes weaker. Now let me say something important. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to follow every step exactly. You do not need to change everything overnight. What you need is consistency. Because your body listens to patterns. Not one good day, not one perfect week, but repeated signals over time. That is what creates real change. Now I want to talk to you directly, especially if you are over 50, or 60, or even 70. You might be thinking it is too late, that the damage is already done, that your body cannot change, that you missed your chance. That is not true. Your body is always responding, always adapting, always trying to repair. The question is not whether your body can change. The question is whether you are giving it the right signals. I have seen people improve their sleep in their 70s, improve their digestion in their 60s, increase their energy in their 80s. Not because they found something magical, but because they became consistent. They respected their body. They supported their system. They gave their body what it needed, and it responded. So do not think about everything you have done wrong. Think about what you can start doing right. Tomorrow morning, drink water, move your body, support your gut, walk with intention, eat with purpose, protect your sleep. Simple actions, repeated daily. That is how change begins. Now, I want to ask you something. Which of these 5 habits will you start first? And more importantly, what has been stopping you until now? Write your answer in the comments, because awareness is the first step, action is the second, and consistency is what creates results. If this helped you see your health differently, take a moment to like this video. Share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe if you want more simple, science-based guidance that actually makes sense. Because your health is not decided in one moment. It is shaped by what you do every single day. And starting tomorrow, you have a choice to continue the same patterns or to begin something different. Your body is listening. Make sure you are giving it the right instructions.